You found a contract, it looks perfect, and you think to yourself, we do this already. We could totally deliver this. So you click the link and the tender shows that you've got to provide a safeguarding policy, your evidence of outcomes, a delivery model, your risk assessment, and a costed project plan. So you think to yourself, oh, I can't do this, I'll do it later. So that moment, that sinking feeling, is the tender readiness gap. Today I'm going to show you exactly what's in that gap and how to close it. So the next time you find a contract that you know you can deliver, then you are absolutely ready to go for it. If we haven't met before, I'm Philippa Bonham. I help small organisations, community interest companies, charities, social enterprises to start up, find income and grow with confidence. I've seen a lot of brilliant organisations lose contracts, not because they can't deliver or because they weren't good enough, but because they weren't ready enough. So let's fix it. What does tender ready actually mean? Firstly, what is a tender? A tender is basically a formal application for a contract. A local authority or some public body has service that they need to be delivered. It might be youth work, it might be health support, it might be building houses or housing advice. And they invite organisations to apply. You write the bid, they pick the best one. There's a little bit more to it than that, but that basically is what it is. So being tender ready means if a contract landed in your inbox tomorrow, you would respond to it properly. It doesn't mean that you have every answer. It means that you have the foundations. Tender ready means that your organisation can show clearly and credibly that it can deliver what the buyer wants, and that includes the right policies and procedures, clear governance structures, evidence that your work actually makes a difference. It needs to be realistic and grounded in decent pricing structure. You need to have a clear, specific description of your service and a project plan for managing risk, quality and reporting processes. So they're not actually buying your passion, they're buying your ability to deliver on time, within budget and professionally. So what are the gaps that stop small organisations from winning contracts? I'm going to talk about the 5 most common reasons that small organisations aren't contract ready yet. And I want to be clear, this isn't criticism, it's a stage that every organisation goes through, and every single one of these stages can be fixed. So the first one, gap 1, your offer may be too vague. So a lot of organisations say things like, we support vulnerable people through holistic activities, and that might be completely true, but it's too vague. For a tender response, the commissioner needs to know who exactly you're working with, what you actually deliver, where and how often, who delivers it, what outcomes you achieve, what it costs and why. Let's compare these 2 examples. We improve wellbeing in the community, or we deliver a weekly 2-hour wellbeing sessions for women who are experiencing stress and low confidence, combining peer support, practical habit building for 21 weeks. So you see the difference. The second one gives the customer something to say yes to because it's absolutely clear what you're going to do. Gap 2 is that you don't have the evidence yet, and this is particularly for new organisations. If the tender asks, how do you know your service works? You can't say, well, people really like it. And maybe people do really like it and you have evidence of that. So you need things like your attendance figures, your feedback scores, your case studies, outcomes, and what changed for those people who attended your sessions, before and after results, and referral numbers. Even simple evidence is very powerful. So you could say over 12 weeks, 18 women attended our sessions, 14 reported improved confidence, 11 said they'd started a healthier routine at home. So that's far more useful to a commissioner than it went really well. So start collecting evidence now, even if you're not bidding for a contract yet. Build up a picture of what's happening as you're going through it, as you're delivering. Now, I know for new organisations, if you haven't delivered yet, then you will have to build some track record, which is where maybe teaming up with other organisations can help to build that experience of collecting data, collecting the information of what has worked well, what's worked well and what hasn't worked well. So there are ways and means of new organisations to develop the evidence needed to then be able to be contract ready. Gap 3, your policies are missing or they're out of date. And this is the one that catches a lot of people, because I know people hate the whole policy and procedures process, unless you're like me, which actually I like to go through that process to make sure everybody knows what they have to do, where and when and in what situation, and because I like to see that my organisation is protected. You see a contract, you think, yes, we can do that. And then the portal asks for safeguarding policy, health and safety procedure, equality and diversity policy, GDPR, data protection policy, insurance certificates, complaints procedure, DBS arrangements, risk assessments. So my advice, because I know at this point you'll have groaned and you want to turn off, but keep listening. So my advice is set aside 2 hours a week and build these one at a time. Don't try and do it in one great big bulk if it gives you anxiety. One at a time. And in 4 weeks, you can have everything on that list, potentially even more. And here's a little time-saving tip. If you've trained your AI on your organisation, run a policy template through it, because there are templates online, and ask it to tailor it specifically for your organisation. It still needs sense checking, but it'll save you bags of time, and I share how to do that in detail in some of my other videos. If you need a more detailed session on policies and procedures, then have a look at my Mastering Not-for-Profit Launch and Grow course, where we talk through that in one of the modules. Gap 4, your pricing is complete guesswork. Now, commissioners will know. A lot of organisations underprice because they panic and they think, I'll keep it cheap and then we'll win. We'll have more chance. But most of the tenders are more focused on quality than budget. And sometimes budgets are defined, sometimes budgets aren't defined. The best thing for you to do for your organisation is reflect the real cost of delivery. If your budget doesn't reflect a real cost, then a commissioner might think you don't understand the scale of the job, or you're not being realistic, or you won't be able to deliver properly. Usually, quality is marked more heavily than price in tenders. So a credible budget actually builds your case. So a credible budget is what they want to see. Know what delivery actually costs you. It include things like staff time, travel, management, overheads. And if the tender gives you a fixed budget, then make sure you can genuinely deliver within it. Gap 5, your delivery plan isn't solid enough. So a commissioner wants confidence. They want to know who will do what, how referrals will work, how sessions will run week to week, maybe even what happens if a member of staff is off sick, and how you'll manage that risk, how you'll manage other risks, and how you'll monitor and report on progress. A good idea isn't just enough. You need a model, you need a clear, practical plan of how your service will actually run. What you need to do is imagine your sessions are running. So imagine you have all the money you need to be able to start to get your project going. You need to think through every stage, from marketing, initial engagement, signing people up onto the program, all the elements of delivery, the risks, the staff issues, monitoring, reporting and administration, everything that you need to happen to make your project successful. Then develop a clear practical plan on how your service will actually run. I know this is harder when you're just starting out, so if you don't have direct experience of delivering or running a program that you want to deliver, then you could potentially learn from others. So develop a network of support, which I talk about in other videos. You can volunteer your time to learn how things work in reality. You can learn the ropes and then develop your own work. Now, that's not copying, that's about learning and building networks so you can understand how things need to be delivered. Remember, a good idea is not enough. You need a model that gives you and commissioners a clear and practical guide, a picture of how your service works. Without that, and if you haven't thought it through in detail, you can find yourself in a really sticky situation further down the line, or you just won't win the bid. So let me give you a quick example. Imagine a community interest company that works with children and young people. They maybe deliver creative sessions and confidence building activities. So they spot a tender in their local authority where they currently deliver for wellbeing support, youth wellbeing support, and they think that's exactly what we do. But then they start the application and they realise the safeguarding policy is outdated. They don't have a clear referral process. They have no written outcome reports. They haven't properly costed staff time and they don't know how to do that. Or if it's a bit of a step up for them, then maybe they can't explain how they'd manage delivery at scale. So are they a good organisation? Yes, absolutely. Are they tender ready? No, possibly not quite yet. And that's the distinction that matters. Not whether you care, but whether you can prove that you can deliver in a way that the commissioner needs you to. So the silver lining is that all this can be sorted, and going through a tender process, even if you don't win, is one of the best ways to get tender ready. Sometimes that deadline is exactly what you need to get from I'm going to I've done it. So what to fix first? If you're not tender ready yet, here's where to start. Here's 6 steps, and you don't have to do them all at once. Step 1, get all your core documents in place. Create a bid folder for your policies, your insurance, your governing documents. Put them all in this one folder. I prefer digital. I know some people prefer paper, but we're paperless here, so I stick to digital. Make sure they're easy to find when you need them. Step 2, clarify your offer. You must be able to explain in clear sentences who you help, what you do, where you do it, how often, what changes, and what it costs. That is your offer. Those 6 main questions, that forms your offer. Step 3, start gathering evidence. Start doing it now. So track what you do, what difference it makes. Even basic data is better than nothing. Number 4, understand your numbers. So know what your delivery actually costs, including time, management, resources, overheads. Include them all in and know what your delivery costs. Step 5, I've already mentioned your bid folder and keeping your information, your standard information ready so that you're not starting from scratch every time a tender comes up. So make sure you, in that folder, make sure you have a spreadsheet which shows the dates when things run out, and you can put those notes in your diary, your online diary, so that you know when your policies, procedures, insurance, your ICO all needs updating. So add that into your tender folder. Step 6 is give yourself a deadline. Now this is really important for some types of people who need to have the deadline. Some will wait until near to the deadline before you take action. Others will methodically take time, put time in their diary to work through it. Don't wait until everything is perfect, but set a date, pick one action and move forward. So in a year from now, you want to be winning contracts, not still about to or going to or meaning to. So pick a date and stick to it. And I want to say this directly to you. If you're not tender ready yet, that doesn't mean contracts aren't for you. It just means you need to build the foundation first. And honestly, it's better that you build those foundations before you spend hours on a bid that you're not going to win. Once you put that time in to be tender ready, you will find that you are going to succeed. Tender readiness can be built. It's not magic, it's about structure, and you can do this. Before you go chasing contracts, ask yourself 2 questions. Where do I find tenders? And am I actually ready to tender? I've got another video which answers the first question, and then the second question will actually save you a lot of time, a lot of disappointment, and a lot of stress. If you found this useful, then please subscribe to my channel so the algorithm knows to notify you when something is relevant for you. And I wish you all the success. Thank you for listening. See you in the next one.